kinetically orientated, we probably could find the kinetic language for the same centers, and would probably discover a similarity in terms as we do in symbology when we look at Egyptian mystical knowledge and Sanskrit mystical knowledge. We're talking about the Cushite when we say Sanskrit. That's the same black man on both sides of the river of Mesopotamia. And we're going to look at, I'm getting this going. Anyway, I'll deal with that. We're going to start reading first. I got so much information here. I'm trying to keep myself from getting confused. And what I've done some things on the chakras. I keep studying. I'm a perpetual student. Okay, when I die, I want a book up under my chin. Don't bring me no damn flowers. Don't bring me some books. I get one more peep at one more line before I leave, you know. That's kind of where my head sits on my shoulders there. So I'm always going to be a student, always willing and wanting to learn, to know more and more. How many of you American Negro Moors brought the Bible? Oh, good, okay. So we don't have as many American Negro Moors this week as we did last week. It's important that you're able to correlate the knowledge that you get from the point of view of those that you're going to be compelled to educate. As I mentioned last Friday, and I'm going to mention it every Friday. You might think you're studying for yourself, but you're not. Somebody out there is asking the questions that you're about to get the answers to, and they'll find you. So you don't have to worry about that. You know? The important thing, I think, what we need to know is we don't want to win arguments. If a brother wants to argue about what he believes, let him believe it, and compliment it, and drop the title of a book on him and go leave him alone, you know. You don't let him throw all that frustrated energy at you, you know, and that's what happens when you argue, and you know it when you finally get through arguing with him. You feel like this. You're drained, you know, you give him all that damn energy, you know, on what he believes, you know. And next week, next month, next year, he's going to change that stuff. You know, so don't spend no time sitting there trying to undermine somebody's beliefs, you know. Turn to Revelation chapter 1. I want to clear up a subtle point. This is usually what scholars do, but I'm going to do it because I found this word intriguingly interesting myself. The Greek word apocalypsis, it means hidden or unknown. It virtually means bringing to awareness that which is unknown. It is not a horrendous event where God has decided to destroy the human race, because that's the phobia added to this Greek term. It is the apocalypse. We're all going to die. You know what I mean? And that was going on in the latter part of the 18th century and in the early 20s and 30s, particularly after the stock market crash. You know, everybody who could read at a third grade level and had a Bible went out to prophesy the doom of mankind. The end is near. The apocalypse is here, you know, and didn't have any idea what the word itself meant, okay? So what we're doing is we're diving into the mystery of, and that's what the keys of Moorish science gives you. And believe me, you need them if you're going to study in this field, just as you need a Afrocentric perspective about history, if you're going to read our records as well as those written by and about Europe, so that you can correct that stuff and not find yourself being conditioned to believe history. History is not a belief. The other important key, when you turn to the book of Revelation, you immediately are talking about the inside, okay? All the stuff that's going on out here, the storms and earthquakes and these other heavy showers, those are not apocalyptic events, okay? They've been going on before Jesus, during the time of Jesus, and long after, and they'll be going on until this planet moves into another level of vibration. The planet is out of harmony. It wobbles. You know, in any astronomical book will tell you the planet has a wobble, so it's out of harmony. And that's part of the vibration that creates the earthquakes. The other problem is they're releasing too much high energy in this atmosphere in terms of spacecraft, bombs, and other mutant chemicals. You know, don't worry about cigarettes poisoning you. Look at all the gas fumes out there. And count the number of cars and buses. If you want to know where all the lung cancer is coming from, there ain't no damn cigarettes. You know? How many times you walked behind a bus and got blasted with that black stuff? It's a wonder you got across the street. So the atmosphere is polluted, the earth's polluted. And until the human race straighten it out, and ain't no angels coming down here to correct all this dumb stuff we've done. We got to correct it. It's going to be going on. Okay. So let's not get upset when it rains 40 days and 40 nights. Noah is not coming back to do it to us again. Okay, let's jump in here. As I mentioned to you before, when you want to find out what this book is about, you don't go to chapter 1 to find out what the book is about. You go to chapter 5. Okay? Chapter 5, verse, I think it's starting verse 1. Otherwise, it leaves you first believing this is Jesus coming down to John and giving John this vision and revelation of himself, Jesus. And that is not what it's about. Okay? I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a book written inside. Okay, a peculiar term in reference to the book. A book written in automatically sends you inside if you read what's there. And on the back, sealed up with 7 seals. Okay, so the correlation, once you get that particular information, then you can go back to Revelations chapter 1 and start off of what you're talking about as 7 seals on the back of and within. Okay, so turn to chapter 1. And, well, we could do the introduction. I don't want to do all that. John, to the 7 churches that are in Asia. And the key here is what even Elijah didn't do, as far as I know, did not define for the congregation and black folks what the concept Asia means. That which God has made. Okay? And when we say God, we're talking about the intelligence that creates. When we talk about nature, we're talking about the process of evolution. But it's still intelligent, but it's subconscious intelligence on one level and supreme consciousness or intelligence on the other level. But it's the same mind, okay, in making that distinction. Part of what we're talking about is what nature does and can't stop doing. What the intelligent higher consciousness does, it has the option of divine or free will. to stop and start, to give and take. You know? We're on the subconscious realm of the mind we call God. Okay, governed by fixed laws that are not going to change. When a being comes forward out of that mind, he, she has free will to choose what he, she wants to do or not do. And those are the overlords. Okay? Jesus was an overlord. Muhammad Rasulullah was an overlord. Buddha was an overlord. Krishna was an overlord. But they came out of the same divine mind, okay, though they had different cultural perspectives, which gives them the status of gods. Okay, I'm going to skip around here because I want you to read. I should have mentioned this last Friday. I've tried to do this, tell the group to read the book of Revelation and come back next time and say, how many read the book of Revelation? Nobody raised it. It's a frightening book if you're not properly orientated, because it sounds almost demonic, you know, or like a curse, or like God is getting ready to get you, you know. But our effort is to intelligently approach mysteries. That which is unknown was designed to become known. There's no mystery fixed for man that was not meant to be unlocked. Okay, I got to go a little fast because we've got a lot of material to cover here. Okay, now where we're going to jump to is John chapter 1, verse 9. John, your brother and fellow partaker in the tribulation and kingdom perseverance, which are in Jesus, was on the isle called Patmos. Okay. Now, this book helps you with some of the terminologies in the book of Revelation. We don't have any more copies of it, however, but we will have some more copies of the Metaphysical Dictionary. And Patmos represents the vertebrae. Remember, he was in the spirit. That's the other key of what's going on here. When you're in the spirit, come on up front, my brother. 3 chairs up here. Good to see you. When you're in the spirit, your vertebrae locks. You're stiff. Your body muscles become tenacious, tense. For all purposes and rationale, you're physically in meditational state. You're physically dead. Okay. But another kind of death. It isn't blind death, because in meditation, you either remain conscious or you become conscious. That's the difference between what we're talking about in the process of the art of dying as opposed to dead. Okay? So, this Isle of Patmos, I don't even have a good picture that would be here. This is the Isle of Patmos, okay? And again, all the symbology carries you inside your own body.
So I wanted to stop and show this real quick because today is the 28th September. Belief is the attitude of the mind determining the whole course of one's life. Belief is the basis of all actions, and this being so, the belief which dominates the heart or mind is shown in the life. Every man acts, thinks, live in exact accordance with the belief which is rooted in the innermost being, and such is the mathematical nature of the laws which govern mind, that it is absolutely impossible for anyone to believe in two opposite conditions at the same time. For instance, it is impossible to believe in justice and injustice, hate and love, peace and strife, self and truth. Every man believes in one or the other, or these opposites, never in both. And the daily conduct of every man indicates the nature of its belief. Belief and conducts are irresistible. irresistible, for the one remaining determines the other. Excuse me, for one determines the other. So go back to
We're not talking about Jesus. We're not talking about John. We're talking about each one of us. This book of Revelation is about each one of us. Okay, let me get that clear, because I don't want anybody in here hollering out praise the Lord at the end of the class. You know, Jesus is doing just fine. He don't need us to praise him. He's doing wonderful. Okay. I was in the Spirit of the Lord's day, and I heard behind me a loud voice like the sound of a trumpet. That loud voice or sound of the trumpet is here. I'm getting ready to point to the Muladhara chakra is where you hear the first sound that sounds like a trumpet. Now, I'm going to be a little bit scholarly here. The old British trumpet was a long instrument that had a deep sound, not a high Dizzy Gillespie sound, but a low sound. And what the Hindi masters of yoga report, it sounds like the humming of bees after they've drank from the flowers, the nectar from the flowers. That turns them on. And they make this wonderfully loud, vibrant humming sound, which is the sound of the Word of God. Okay, is what it sounds like in the spirit. So, we know what a trumpet means when we talk about the 7 trumpets in the book of Revelation. 7 different octave sounds. Okay? Keeping in mind, we're talking in symbological language, something none of us got in first grade or the 12th grade or the 4th year of college or at the doctorate level. They ain't doing symbology. Okay? So we're into the language of nature, the language of higher mind that is universal, excludes no group, see, because we have a facility on the right side of the brain to decipher, unlock symbology. You don't do it with the prefrontals. You let it happen when you bring your attention to a symbol, and your consciousness will just simply give you the answer one day. Or just one day. You don't have to think about it. It just happens in your head when you're able to and precede it. It just, because that's the way this side of the brain works. It works with symbolism. Okay. Yes. Oh, thank you. Okay. Take one and pass it around to this brother. And the brother in the back there could use one. Did you do one? Brother man in the back? Okay. Okay. Let's go a little bit faster here. Write in a book what you see and send it to the 7 churches. Write in a book what you see and send it to the 7 churches. Now, the preacher is going to say, the book of Revelation is talking about 7 churches over in Asia. Okay? Why in the world would a universal being send a mystical message to 7 churches in a place that was not destined to house Christianity, the Greco-Roman concept of Christianity, because that's who gained control of it. And if that was already known by a prophet, he wouldn't send it to Asia. Okay, I'm being a bit sarcastic here because I'm trying to break the spell that we've got woven in our heads about this external prestige that we belong to church and the fellowship of churches. Somehow the sacred place of God, when the sacred place of God is your own body. Okay, all right. So the 7 churches are first mentioned there. Now here is where the 7 churches explain themselves in terms of your spiritual nature.
What chapter are you?
Chapter 1, going to No, let's see.
You just left verse 11.
Yeah, okay, it's talking about okay, I could do verse 11, but let's do 12. And I turned to see the voice that was speaking with me. He turned in the spirit. When you get a spiritual experience, your spirit will turn you around in your own body. Okay. So what John was seeing was his own spiritual nature, his higher self. The brain self John was seeing the divine John standing in front of himself. As you will see your divine self in some kind of robe standing in front of yourself. Okay? That's what religion is called, the Holy Ghost, which means perfect host. But the perfect host is you, the higher self in your own body. Until you come to the awareness that it's you, then when you do, you go up into your own body, okay, in consciousness. Because you're already there, but your brain is doing this watching. It's almost like two people, but it really isn't. It's one awareness from two point of views. That's all. Okay. Okay, let's get to the chakras here. I don't want to read this whole thing here. I'm not going to try to do all 7 here. Otherwise, I'll be running through this stuff. And I think like the first tapes I did, I don't think the brothers got too much out of that because I was trying to do all of it in 1 or 2 tapes. And I turned to see the voice that was speaking with me. And having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the middle of the lampstand, one like a son of man, clothed in a robe reaching to the feet, and girded across his breast with a golden girdle. And his head and his hair were white like white wool, like snow, and his eyes were like a flame of fire. That's the Christhood being of your causal body. In your astral body, you get a white robe, ain't nothing on it, no gold. You get black, long hair. That's your first entrance to the heavenly planes. Then you go up from Jesus to Christ, then you get white hair. And your feet are vibrating with fire or higher energy, and they look brownish, goldish. So he was seeing his own causal body in this vision of himself, okay? This is John's revelation, not Jesus. Jesus has his, had it then and before. John is seeing himself as the message is for you to search for your revelation, okay? Big key, otherwise you're going to be doing, oh, Lord, help me. They'll send you down bowing now, okay? And that ain't where we are in this class. We're about putting on G-O-D in here. All right, okay. And his feet were like burnished bronze when it had been caused to glow in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of many waters, very powerful. All his chakras were open, okay? And it's very interesting how a being who is in a spiritual state rises up in a nearly perfect state and has this experience. Remember, he's having a vision. Okay? That's past here, intellect. That comes from up here. A vision comes from here, the higher mind, the father mind. Up here, we are already perfect. We're not children up here. We're not immature up here. We're not weak, confused, and ignorant up here. The knowledge comes from here, the soul. It expresses up here supreme consciousness, super consciousness, Christ mind, the mind of God, okay? That's what's on top of your head. Okay, we'll get to that as we go up. The Muladhara is at the base chakra. Okay. Verse 16, and in his right hand he held 7 stars, and out of his mouth came a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in its strength. Everybody know what the sword is, right? Who knows what this means? Just blurt it right on out.
Truth.
No,
Words.
thank you. When one of these is added to that concept, as it is on the Masonic sign, as it is on the Shahada, La ilaha illallah, there's a sword in these Arabic words. It means words of power. The sword represents power. A two-edged sword represents good power and bad power. The words that kill and words that give life. Okay? Double-edged. Positive and negative. Duality. Okay? All right. He didn't come out with a tongue with two prongs on it. Okay, I mean that sounds more reasonable than thinking that you already have power in your voice, and to articulate it, it is the tongue that does it. The spoken word of power is what black folks must get a hold of, because they're tearing up their world with their words. We need to understand we are already creators. If you're a creator, then you're also a destroyer. And what black folks have been doing is destroying their own dreams, their own visions, their own insight, their own sense of prosperity, and their own good luck by negation, by the illusion of inferiority, which has its own vocabulary. I can't afford. I ain't got. I don't know how. I don't know what I'm doing. That's all going on back here in the back of the head. And it will keep you poor, unhealthy, sick, and waiting to die. Okay. That's, again, it's important for the African more because we are an oral people. The songs our children are singing to their peer group is what's got them out there acting crazy. The rap stuff, the gangster rap. Those words stay in consciousness. They don't go away. That's why kids are walking up the street singing the song without the music and behaving just as foolishly and they are behaving demonically. And those thoughts have been sent out. And the only reason those kids are getting on there with no or little bit of talent is because somebody found out how to market them. That's why all that rap music is there, because it will sell. If they couldn't make a dime on it, you would never know about a rap nothing. And so it's not great music. It's probably, in my estimation, the worst music black folks ever created. And we need to understand how, as a people, we are addicted to music. The white boy put it in his movie background. We live it. We do two things in America. We ain't got no money if we got money. We breathe and we do music 24/7. So it has to come to a point where it's a positive force. Music is vibration. Music is spirit. Music is rhythm. The essence of life is what we're talking about when you talk about music. You can't do anything without it. When your music stops, you're through. Okay? That's how much we've incorporated into our cultural consciousness collectively. This tremendous similarity of the African in Africa and the African in America. They do music. You see? Okay. Let me get on here. Write therefore the things which you have seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall take place after these things. As far as the mystery of the 7 stars, which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden lampstands, the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. So we know we can't get into 7 lampstands, okay? What we're talking about are symbolic synonyms. Lampstands in churches, same thing. This is a lampstand where you put a candle. You put up 7 of these. That's 7 or 8. I'm going to put 2, 4, 6. You got candle stands, but you also have the vertebrae. Okay, that's what your vertebrae is: stacks of bones on top of bones. Okay. Here, again, this are your churches and your lampstands. The 7 stars that he has in his right hand is what he owns. Your right hand is ownership, possession. When you have something in your right hand, it's yours. So what he was showing is that he had the power of, the authority of these 7 lights, is what stars represent, energies and intelligences. Okay. Because it gets a little tricky down here. In chapter 2, to the angel of the church in Ephesus, the one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, the one who walks among the golden lampstands. Okay? As you walk, you're walking among these because you, the soul self, is in the body. Okay? Awake or unawake, you're still the Christ self within your own body. And you're walking among them, these 7 chakras. Okay. As your energy moves, you animate your body from the soul level. And when you come into the body, your soul consciousness expands out to 5 points. So you can do hands and feet and head. Okay. So you're already out there as a soul self. Okay. You can't lose your soul. You can lose your body. And you can lose your mind, but you can't lose your soul. But you can lose consciousness. And it will be as if you were dead. So what we're trying to remain conscious, okay, more conscious to that of supra-conscious, to that of cosmic consciousness. That's what we're trying to do. That's what it's really all about. The 7 golden lampstands, the one who walks among them, says, I know your deeds, your toil and perseverance, that you cannot endure evil men. You put to the test those who call themselves apostles, and they are not. The apostles, there are 12 apostles, and the apostles are the one who move from this stage disciple, which means discipline, to this state, functional. These are the glands, the ganglionic centers in the body. Those centers that do not have any power are not apostles. They're still disciples, still learning, still developing, unawake. The same concept is given again in the following chapter. I'll skip over here and run this in chapter 2, verse 9. It says, I know your tribulations in Smyrna. I know your tribulations and your poverty, but you are rich and the blasphemy by those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Same concept, except the Jew has to become what? Jew. Thank you. Then he's what Paul says, spiritual Jew. That's as far as Paul explains Jew. The reason I emphasize it is because a young brother at the desk, God bless him, young Baptist brother, probably in training to be a preacher because that's all we got over there, preachers. I started telling him about Africa and the difference between an imprisoned Africans, because that's what they brought. They captured Africans, not slaves, and brought them to America, and they made made African prisoners into slaves. And he says, oh, you mean just like they did the Jews? You know, and the whole thing clicked in my head where his loyalty lies. And that's part of the cultural problem, if you want to know, with this Judeo-Christian idea, you know, and why these brothers look up at a white man up on the wall with long brown hair and blue eyes and say, oh, my Lord. You know, there is a problem. His interest and his loyalty and his compassion and sympathy are with 2 or 3 million or maybe 6 million Europeans that were slaughtered, and it was terrible. But when we look in our history, we see over 100 million that were slaughtered. See? Hell, he didn't even blink when I said it. It meant absolutely nothing to this black boy who looks more African than he does American. We're trying to put on a new head here. And it don't look like nothing in Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, Morris Brown, or any college where they putting on heads. That ain't the kind of head we want to put on. Okay. You're not going to be something other than what you are right now. 1,000,000 years from now, you'll still be black. And proud and glad and thanking God that you still are black. Okay, all right. Let me go on here. I'm supposed to be, I got a lot of Reverend Biscuit in me. I want to go to preaching every now and then. Yeah, man, I got some biscuit in me. I know your deeds and I did that, didn't I? Yeah, I want to skip over some stuff here because I want to get to the meat here. Now in Smyrna, here's what I wanted you to do. Let me get to my notes here. Smyrna is, oh boy, all this card up under my feet here.
What verse is that?
Chapter 2. No, we're dealing with Ephesus. Excuse me, thank you. Chapter 2, verse 1. We're dealing with Ephesus. Is the Muladhara chakra. That's what we're going to describe in a minute here. As soon as I can hook this back up here.
Chapter Ephesus or Ephesus?
Revelations 2, chapter 1. Revelations chapter 2, verse 1. To the angel of the church in Ephesus, write. See it there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let me get hooked back up here. I'm going to put this in my pocket. Brother got a little nervous then because he works for the Holy Trinity Church. But he's a black man, you know, he ain't dubbed out about it, but he's got to work with the concept of Christ, you know, even though he's Muslim, you know. So that's all right, you know. I'm learning not to bite my tongue, you know. I'm trying to deal with some truth here. We need to wake the hell up.
That's right.
You know. And as I mentioned, it's about Godhood, not getting down on your knees, begging somebody to help you, when you can help yourself. And that's what the universe is waiting for us to do. By your will, your willingness to become a divine being is how it begins. Okay, let me go on here. Ephesus, the chakra of Muladhara, is at the very end of the sacral or sacrum vertebrae. It looks very much like, no, it doesn't look like that either. Very much like this. And this is where Kundalini rests. Very important but that we know it's there. We're talking real power, real fire. And this is the one that gets all of the stuff out of your way so that your divinity rises. Okay? Contemplating the chakra is a part of the work one does in the spiritual practice, not meditating, practice. Contemplating the chakra, becoming aware of it. We're going to deal with that towards the end of this here. I don't want anybody raising that stuff up and run around here. Man, what's the matter with me? I'm burning. Because you're talking about real fire. And if your centers are not open, the fire doesn't have anywhere to go. So it gets lodged down here. And you're in serious trouble. Okay? The reason I don't talk about raising the Kundalini. You know? Get something going on up here where the cards are coming up and the fire is coming up. Okay? This is stuff you can't run to the clinic and tell them, I'm on fire. Well, what are you talking? You end up in the damn crazy house, as some people have in the past when their chakras open and were burning, because it burns, because you're burning away chaff. Dirt is what it's burning away. It's called samskar, and it burns it up without harming the physical body. But brother, if it ain't got nowhere to go, you talking about being on fire. Okay. Okay, let me drift here a little bit, because I don't want to keep saying the same thing. I got some notes here on these pieces. It becomes bright gold, this chakra. It contrasts or shows or expresses procreative fluid. Remember, your sexual organs are in this area. There is a substance in, very important, so you understand something about spermatosa and ovum. There's a substance in your spermatosa that is vital to your spiritual development. Vita, that should have been called Vita Libra. That comes up with it, okay? This substance is made in the genital areas, then the natural pull of the body, if you leave it alone long enough, will go up your spinal cord, okay? So that this becomes a sane and sensible word and not a hump. Spinal energy excretion. This sexual fluid, procreative fluid, carries with it this life-giving vital energy, Vita Libra. It is considered golden oil, and you can see it if you ejaculate on your sheets. Why white substance becomes yellow substance. That's the Vita Libra in your spermatosa and in your ovum. Okay? That's what gives life, animates a living cell or organ or organism. But you need it up here. Some of it you need it up here. Because when it gets backed all up in here, you're going to do something about it anyway. You know? That's where the old saying came from, handed all and got all up here. I got to go find the sister. Go on, unload it on. But it goes to the brain. Your brain needs that Vita Libra, that substance, to regenerate itself. The brain needs sugar, natural sugar, not white granulated sugar, fruit sugar, and some vegetables that have sugar in them that revitalizes the brain and lubricates the spinal cord. Okay? It takes 24 hours for the body to make an ample supply to lubricate and feed the brain. It takes 72 hours for the brain and its nervous system to distribute it throughout the entire cerebral nervous system. Okay? So if you're jumping Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're jumping on empty. And you're going to be doing, get off me. You become irritated. Okay? You know, and it's not him or her, it's your own nervous system that's going whack, 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 instead of one of them sweet songs where he looks like everything God ought to look like, and you look like everything the Queen of Sheba should look like, you know? So understand balance. It's important that we keep our balance. See? Okay, I'm going too slow here. Let me try to get through most of this today. Okay, I'm abbreviating this information. This is the book I'm coming from, essentially. We got any left here? I hate to announce a book and we ain't got a copy. The brother bought the last one. This is a book. It's a very, very valuable tool. It really is an excellent piece to work with. The illustrations are outstanding. The information is outstanding. It even has a glossary. And it covers pretty much the whole of the body. It's a good study book. This isn't the one you go from page 1 and go right through it. You read a section and you put it down, then you pick it up a little later and read it again, because you're dealing with a lot of old Latin terminology and a lot of Sanskrit information. So it isn't a reading book, it's something you carry in your purse on the bus. The next chakra is the Sadhisthana. Sadhisthana is just above the sacral vertebrae. I think that's called the thoracic area there. And they all interconnect with particular glands. That's one of the pieces of information I think is on that sheet, isn't it? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure you all had this. So we're starting at the bottom, though, okay? As you see them on the right, the Muladhara. So by the Muladhara, you write the word gonads and opium. Gonads and opium, male and female. Sadhisthana, the adrenal glands, or the glands that correlate with that particular chakra. Now, they call these lotus petals because they tend to blossom out like this. They're not real flowers, but okay. Here's a picture. I was trying to keep them zero out from too much stuff here. That is it. That's kind of how they look, but that's not like buds and leaves. That's energy vibrating in a symmetrical or geometric form, okay? Put up so the camera can get it, okay? Kind of how they look. Don't go into meditation with a preconceived idea of how your chakras look, okay? Because the subconscious will create a form that you like and show it to you, and it may not be real. You've got some stuff in here that another mystic said, Ledbetter ain't seen a chakra yet. You know, he's got some, you know, and what you see is where your spiritual centers are developed at the time you see them. You're not looking for, these indicate in the Hindu script certain geometrical shapes, and they probably do form that shape. But ours may not be developed at this particular time. You're not looking for a shape. You're looking for an awareness if your chakras are open. So if you see yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, and you have somehow, we're going to do the scale of the 9 numbers, then you know something is open inside. That's the major thing, okay? We're not going to try to study all of these books, okay? Certain books that tell you about who you are, what you are, where you are, and how to become who you are. That's what you're trying to do. Wake up and not become heavy. And these books, oh, I mean, I meant to put it's heavy. Yeah, right. Yeah. We're trying to become God if you really want to be heavy. Okay, let's go on here. Let me give a little bit of information on Sadhisthana is pergamos in the chronology of the 7 churches. Pergamos I was supposed to read pergamos in here because it's pergamos and pergamum, two different spellings of the same word. And I got some notes up here I'm supposed to be putting in here while I'm doing this too. And I just remembered that. Okay. Pergamum. P-E-R.
How do you spell?
Pergamum, I think. Pergamum. Pergamum or and pergamos.
What page?
In this page 514. Greek word, of course, strongly united, closely knitted, tough textured. The key word here is elevated, because this is the chakra that liberates you from the experience of death, okay, in the yogic practices, okay? Or when the Queen of Heaven, not the Queen of Heaven, the Queen of the South rises up to destroy this generation, bringing up the full force of the Kundalini, which goes up through your head and goes up, okay? The pole goes up to the height that you have reached in your evolution down through the centuries. What you're getting back this lifetime is what you've gained down through the centuries. You got a pole that goes up to some plane of the heavens, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I don't know how tall your pole is, but it's there. If it goes up 12, then you got all 12, you can visit all 12 levels of the heavenly planes. But if your pole don't reach there and you can get through, you better know somebody up there. You get your butt beat up there, okay? You hear what I'm saying? We're going to other civilizations. We're not going to the clouds in the sky. You're going to other civilizations where you have to walk through a door, meet somebody, speak, that's where you're going. Higher civilizations, finer energy, more intelligent people with good hearts. Okay, ain't gonna rob you, steal, cut you, shoot you. That's where we're going. Okay, that's the heavenly planes. Not Acapulco, it's called in the Sanskrit. There are some planes so high, if you think the wrong thought, your head hurts. They're so purified, you see, okay? Which tells you your potential. This is not a joke. You're God, sitting right here in these chairs, sleeping. Most of you thinking you're colored fellas. Okay, it's real, it's true. We are dreaming this dream. You're not a human being dreaming that you would like to be a god. You're a god dreaming that you're a human being. Okay? All right. So don't sigh, wake up. Okay. And the reference is in here. We're going to touch on it here in just a second here, what I just made reference to. Let me see, where is that? Ephesians in Smyrna. And to the angel of the church in Smyrna, write, the first and the last who was dead and has come to life, says this: I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich. And the blasphemy by those who say they are Jews and are not, but are of a synagogue of Satan. The synagogue of Satan is the damaged, negatively coded body, where evil thoughts dwell. In the front part of the brain, essentially, where they become active. Of course, the subconscious is their bottomless pit.
We the people of The living Moorish American nation that encompass the governing bodies of the 12 are entrusted with the knowledge of the natural law of the zodiac and understanding the forces that's given the law of the cause and effect. This knowledge embodies self-resistance and allows the adjustments to be made that the results in a good and faithful reasoning and decision makes us to navigate to counter the influence of the universe that exists in lower nature for the benefits of the whole. Moorish governing bodies protect the serve birthright and well-being of the people and prevent reoccurring atrocities of history when rulers of the nations force members of humanity family into ignorance and despair for the purpose of oppressive rulership. Decisions are based on freedom, justice, human equality, prosper, peace, and culture for the world with respect to the Mother Earth. And the article second goes into the zodiac constitution birthright of the Moorish Americans, Bay Al, Ali Day, and Pesha with were the original people, we the people. Since the 19 gerrymander of the 48th Union State Magna Carta document of the white supremacies was the instrument in European colonies of the Americas, and the 9 judges of the Supreme Court were founded upon Moorish mathematics, 12 signs, zodiac constitution. The USA laws have no jurisdiction over free Moors within and without of the boundaries of their own inherited land of Moor nation, namely USA, North America, Canada, and Central South America. Oh, excuse me. The Moorish American nationalities are the Moors' surnames are inherited birthrights without a legal process of law of the United States of America. Everyone has a right to nationality. No one should be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality nor denied the right to change their nationality. Moorish forefather for time to the identity Moors of the present day without a doubt or contradiction. Taxation and militarization exemption and Moorish Americans positions do not exist in the science of the zodiac for mystic gods, religious worship, colorful racial caste systems, social status caste systems, ignorance, war crimes, slavery, and human injustice. The Moors referred to as Negroes, African American, blacks, and African Americans are not and can never become members and citizens of the Union Society of the 48 states, namely USA. Moorish nationals is indigenous, therefore cannot be compelled to join or indiscriminately be drafted into the Union, USA Army, military, or any other armed service to fight for the Magna Carta Code of white supremacy against themselves. The lawmakers of the 48 states Union, USA, holds no such authority to command or mandate Moors to pay taxes. Taxation without representation is a supreme violation of the Moorish Zodiac Constitution birthright of Islam. Until the Union laws of the United States restore the Moorish Zodiac Constitution, Moors are not obligated to honor taxation without representation. Everyone has a right to freedom or peaceful assimilation or association. No one may be compelled to belong to an association. United States Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 5, freedom to exercise responsibility, free enterprise, employment, and protection of Moorish Americans, whereas recognition of the inherited dignity and the equality inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, including prosperity and peace in the world. United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone has the right to live liberty and security of persons. All are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entities to equal protections against any discrimination and violation of declarations and against any incitement to such discrimination. Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and to protect against unemployment. Everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal play for equal work. Everyone who works has the right to just and favorably re what the hell re remunerations, ensuring for himself and his family an essential worth of human dignity and submitted if necessary by any other means of social protections. In recognition of every lawmaker and the heads of the industry and business industry of the 48 states Magna Charter Order, who constitute members and citizens of the Magna Carta, Christian Church, and the Temple System of Jesus Christ King, and all the constitutions thereof, have occupied juries over the race, wealth, and the culture of the living indigenous Moorish Americans nations of North America. Said lawmakers and heads of the industries are obligated by international and universal law to provide a means for employment, food, clothes, shelter, medical care, and protections of equal rights with respects to service and protections from the crime, violent offenses, and injustice against Moorish Americans. Immoral marriage license codes against the Zodiac nations created truth cannot be altered and therefore needs no apologies nor doctrines because it is the supreme reality for the entire human family, woman and man. The family is nature, natural, and fundamental group unit of social and is entitled to protection of society and the state. The establishment of the marriage license, the state rights and codes are null and void of merit of worth. This institution of marriage licenses were deceitful established by the Sisterhood Christian Daughters of American Revolutions with the Brotherhood of Christian Sons and Roman Catholic priests to prevent Moorish men and women from procreating with the European Magna Charter society of white supremacists. The union between woman, and man results in the creation of offspring in natural law, in which a marriage license is this disdainful, irrelevant, and is blatantly violation of supreme law of the Most High creators because it is an act of selling woman and man back to themselves. The effect of the Union Magna Carta License Code stigmatized the women of this institution to become supreme social slaves against their will. The severed relationship from the universal family result in interlies sorrow and anger, affecting the psyche or soul of one's offspring to inherit tendencies of deviant acts, hatred, insanity, lack of respect, or good for good and benefit law for the members of the human family with various other diseases. The idea of of illegitimate offspring from woman and man is a fallacy. It does not exist. By the laws of creation, the woman is supreme gates of certain of both male and female. This truth represents Islam or I self Lord and Master, the great carpenter and the grand architect of human family. Adam, meaning the positive forces in woman and son, and Eve means the negative force, but what Adam means the positive forces in woman and son. Eve means the negative forces of woman and son, responsibility for evolution or reproduction of children by the law of nature. The Pope, priests, and preachers, judges of the Christian society defined cannot prove that their Adam and Eve had a marriage license. Islam, supreme standards of the zodiac marriage law culture. The elements of the sign of the zodiac, the woman and the man, opposite signs that create perfect capability and desire to complete the circle of his existence and their union. Is naturally law which is inherited in the very breath and being of all creatures in all of creation. No preacher, money, license, or religion is necessary in the natural zodiac marriage law. The 1863 Union Bible story of Eve and Adam were founded upon the Moorish zodiac 12 signs law, the negative and positive forces of nature, not good or bad, feminine or male gender, or masculine or feminine. However, qualities where male or the masculine sign where more introverts and female or feminine signs and traits of being more introverts, extroverts and introverts in the nature. Persons born under the opposite sign and the angel signs of their mate are in harmony with nature. Thus, knowledge of the sign under which is the mate is born will provide guidance and destiny and peace, progress, and happiness forever. The zodiac is not a theory. It is the absolute or universal compass for marriage and human guidance. Women and men will know their duty towards one another and their children without being forced by tradition, code, or the courtroom. So it goes into the four cardinals, right? Fire, earth, air, water. Also the symbolism of the swastika. Let me see if I can put it. Also symbols of the swastika rotation, right? All right. So we back to the four cardinals and what's housed in them cardinals, right? Because they're fixed and they're mutable. So in fire, you got Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Those will be under the element of fire, the fire signs. Then you have your water signs, the Cancer, the Scorpion, and the Pisces. Right? That's your water signs. Then you have your air signs, your Libra, your Aquarius, and your Gemini. Air signs. And then your earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So in the cardinal signs, you only have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. In your fixed signs, you'll have this Leo, Scorpion, Aquarius, and Taurus. And in your mutable signs is Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. In harmony with nature, polarities. The polarities are signs opposite each other, and although these signs are opposite in character, the real significance is that they are compelled complement each other. Thus, what one sign lack is polar opposite has. So that's interesting. Like man and woman, right? We are polar opposites of each other. We are polarities of each other. What one has, the other has, and they complement each other. What one signs lack, the other one possess. So Aries is fire, and Libra is air. Where we going there? And showing the polarities between fire and air. Right? Taurus is earth, and Scorpion is water. Gemini to Sagittarius, Cancer to Capricorn, Leo into Aquarius, Virgo into Pisces. That's the natural birth order. This one universal moral law for unity, peace of economy, and social progress. The Moorish Zodiac Constitution is the only universal, unchanged moral law for the human family that constitutes humanity, equality, respect, peace, and economic and social progress. Therefore, every Moor must be guided by the Constitution and book, Clock of Destiny, and act what is right by good faith reasons and have respect for all other people. So let me see if I pull it up. The Clock of Destiny. I put that back. Did I put it? I put it back. All right, I gotta look that up in a little bit. Oh wait, I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm looking for the Clock of Destiny. I just had it up. Let's see if I can pull it back. There we go. Okay, I got it in the back. I got it in the back. I know I'm sharing something else. But yeah. So this should go in every Moore's literature or in your library. Make sure you got a Clock of Destiny, the Master Key of Civilizations, right? This will show you what I have there. And we're going back into the Zodiac. The Asiatic of North American Moors are descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Moabites, Hammonites, Christianites, Shemites, Japhetites, Chaldeans, and the Magus of Egypt, etc. The free Moors are guided by the laws of the universe. The European American is guided by the Magna Carta, traditions and custom, which is termed Christian law, and a rule of action recorded on paper and supposed to be their authority by man and force. Nevertheless, their European customs and traditions, including themselves, must be respected without more submitted to any of the Magna Carta practices and traditions. The law of the original nations are recorded in nature as known as knowledge of the sun, seven moon. The laws of original nations are recorded in nature as knowledge of the sun, seven moon, stars, and comets, which prevents Moors from indulging in crime, whereby not having to appear before a European court. Free Moors do not indulge in criminal acts such as cocaine, robbery, violence, Sodom, deadly force, forgeries, prostitution, illegal schemes, or breaking pieces in any form. The zodiac law of nature is recorded in wisdom for woman, man, and supported by moral intelligences. Intelligence. The great law, knowledge of the zodiac masonry, is shown in the Moorish constitution and in the Clock of Destiny. Volume 1 and 2 will prevent crime. Should a knowledgeable Moorish American of the Zodiac Constitution and the Clock of Destiny commit crimes, such acts constitute self-incrimination and will therefore be penalized under Moorish law, which does not protect criminals. Everyone has the right to freedom, movement, and residence within the borders of each state. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including their own, and return to his country. Everyone has the right to own property along as well as is associated with others, as in association with others. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their property. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country directly or through freely choice representations. Everyone has the right or equal access of public service in their country, in their country. The 12 departments had characteristics of the Moorish economic, society, and political life. So Aries, representation of industry. All right, Taurus, agriculture and music. Gemini, social order and publications. Cancer, homeland, mining, and old age security. Commerce and the Board of Education in Lego. Labor, foodstuff, chemistry, and machinery in Virgo. Libra is the Supreme Court's arts and music. Scorpio, embalming, embalming and navigation. Embalming, that's death. I guess that's dealing with um mortuary. Yeah, can't get the word. Embalming and navigation. Okay. Sagittarius, the philosopher, medicine, religion, and law. Excuse me. Capricorn, economic, economics, security, government activities, music, and honor. Aquarius, inventions, electricity, television, humanitarian, and liberty. Pisces, the application of universal law and medical science, institutions, music, and arts. So this is basically the 12 department head characteristics of the Moorish science, economically, social, and political life. Now, this is a warning. The clock of destiny, Moorish Americans' card of identification and constitution will be registered in the Library of Congress and signed by the author, C.M. Bay, H. Coley, L. A. M. Bay, William Spearman Bay, and Leslie Farrell Bay, who are the only four Moorish Americans who are authorized as solicitors by the author, C.M. Bay. The card and constitution must be signed by the author. Beware of forgery or imposters. A Moorish American cannot be convicted on false accusations, frame up charges. The evidence against a Moorish American must be concrete proof beyond the shadow of a doubt. The Moorish nation of the United States shall not be destroyed for lack of truth and knowledge of law or the Constitution of Moors. That goes into the warning. Article 7. The Moorish American freedom and legal rights in the Christian Union courtrooms. In the Christian Union courtrooms, the Moors cannot be forced to remove their red fez from their heads, nor can they be forced to raise their hand to take an oath over a Christian Bible. Neither can the Moors, the Bays and L's, employ lawyers to represent them. The reason for this is that lawyers cannot represent free Moorish Americans. The Negro is property of the Union slaveholder. The Moors must respect the court by saying, I affirm. Here, the court have no jurisdiction over them with automatically makes them qualified to defend themselves by their zodiac constitution laws, and their mathematical number 9 correspond with the letter I, based on the 9 months from conception to birth, which makes you yourself the great I am. The first and the highest law of self protection and self preservation is harmony. With your zodiac 12 signs unchanged, constitutional moral law of 360 degrees squared of your number 9. The Moorish zodiac constitution is referred to in Christianity Mason mythology as the Holy Quran or Al Quran, meaning earth, moon, sun, and 7 planets of the chronologically zodiac records of the Moorish nation of the North America. And I want to bring up that Seneca also means keepers of the North Gate. The North Doors. So let me try to bring that up real quick. Um, I'm just trying to correlate this with Moorish knowledge. The Senecas are also known as the keepers of the Western Door, right? The Western Door. So I just want to bring that in that. Let's go back to the zodiac. Okay. The Moorish zodiac constitution is referred to the Christian Mason mythology as the Holy Quran or Al Quran, meaning earth, moon, sun, and stars, and the 7 planets of the chronological zodiac record of the Moorish nations of the North Gate. The name Muhammad, prophet, religion, God, church, temple, and mosque were established by the Dutch Anglo-Saxon priesthood, Francisco Fathers of the North America, who overthrew the Moorish Society of Islam between 1789 and the Union of 1863. The Moors were the Moors must never attempt to teach or literature in the Christian institutes, namely church, temple, mosque, school, and hall. This is a violation of the Union. This is a violation of the Union's social states right. Magna Carta Code of Mary and Christ, the truth of the Moorish Zodiac Constitutional Law and moral human principle conflicts with the Christian Union customs and doctrine of the Magna Carta from every angle. Moors do not criticize the Christian Union people to accept the moral truth and principles of the 12 signs zodiac constitutional law due to the Magna Carta is a Latin phrase meaning magnated charter of white people's economy and social attractions only, which had it began in the colonies of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and Illinois in 1848 and 1854, which ended in 1854. Wassalam alaikum, was alaikum, Moorish Latin, which means "and with you be peace," Islam. If the lawmakers of the 48 Union States of North America should attempt to ignore the Moorish American Zodiac Law, the birthright of the Constitution, it will be an act of supreme violation of their own Magna Carta Code. So this is presented by CM Bay, and this is basically an introduction to the Moorish world, right? It's like an introduction into the Constitution. When we do not understand the evil influence of our own universe, we must resort to the lower things in life, which result in untold suffering and destruction. Okay, this is, let's share this. The Clock of Destiny. Now, this book is 89 pages. I might not get through it all. But continue. This is the Clock of Destiny, mastering the key of civilization. Why? Continue to be an economically and social slave owing to the lack of knowledge of your history and scientists. Value stones come in small packages. There is not enough money in the world to pay for necessary knowledge. So let us not waste our mental energy arguing over the price of this book. Right. And here we go to the elders, CM Bay, CL, and JL Bay. This is not enough mystical wine or Christian reality doctrine in Rome to make us drunk. There is not enough mystical wine or Christian religious doctrine in Rome to make us drunk. That's saying that in the sober mind, you can understand things more than in an inebriated mind, right? An inebriated mind is going to be limited to its thought patterns and always be distracted. So I see the W.H. Photo Brother Bay and Robinson L. Bay, CM Bay, and CM Bay was a 33rd, 316 Master Mason from Moorish Master Astrologer and Moorish Constitute Lawgiver. So when I was just reading about the Zodiac Constitution, it was divinely prepared by this guy. Who honest to this guy, or honest to Noble Drawley. Okay. Rome and Canaan, Khan, in the land of the Moors. So this is the table of context. And basically overview of what this is all about. Even the KK, the number 9, right, goes into a lot of things in depth instead of being in, how you say, in tune. The Clock of Destiny. Let's see. Knowledge of truth in mankind highest attainments. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. All evidence points towards the fact that had the truth been taught, there would have been no need for the great statement to be recorded in literature, especially the Bible. I'm gonna bring that back. Knowledge of truth is mankind's highest attainment. Knowledge of truth is mankind's highest attainment. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. All evidence point towards the fact that hadn't the truth been taught, there would have no need for the great statement to be recorded in literature, especially in the Bible. I am aware of the fact that the category of astrology, global geography, and the history of the Moorish nations will conflict with 9 out of every 10 persons of the United States of America, especially those often referred as Negroes, ranging between 20 and 50 years of age, owing to Christian education. Therefore, I concede that the category of science mentioned will appear to the youth of tomorrow, those who will approach the ages of 18 to 21 by 1954. The restoration of civilization relies upon the abilities of this group during the next 7 years of global economy and social revolution. So that, I guess he made a prediction right there. The majority of those who range between 20 and 50 years old of age have been too deeply instilled with emotional religious documents and distorted history, which has been written by perjury. I say that right. I ain't say that right. Purge. Let's get that. Let's see. Prejudice European has been written by prejudiced European Americans, educators during the past 93 years. This group emotionally replied upon that which they have been taught to believe. Fact and testimonies are not the foundation of their faith, except in a very rare case. These people accept without question the belief of those among whom they are born and feared, and will disbelieve even the evidence of their sense rather than this man with the impractical emotional religious belief which has grown in them. Persons who possess the persons who the ap, possess the applied knowledge of science. Persons who possesses the applied knowledge of the science of astrology always employ the terms such as science, truth, or fact rather than the mystical magic term employed in religion. Mystery, namely Allah, God, Jehovah, Jesus, and Christ. These five magic religious terms breed only false fear mentally, confuse conflicting opinions, and secret hatred. As thought astrologicals are aware of the fact that the aforementioned mystics, magic phases of emotion, fear, employed in religion, mysteries are latent and confused. Mentally, slavery, human hatred, jealousy, discrimination, human caste, economically and social discards, degradation, okay, social degradation, human welfare, bloodshed, destruction, and starvation. Today, religion worshippers have proven to the entire world that they have rather resort to emotional human hatred and fight suffering and die over the name of mystical gods and religion, and reasonably agree with simplified and applied truth, facts of science involved in economy and social strides, as shown as in the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 signs of every present zodiac, keynotes of wisdom. All right, I'm trying to get this thing off. Keynotes of wisdom. In order that you might readily understand the contents of this book, you are advised to momentarily lay aside all that which you have been taught to believe, except mathematics, and as a result, you will be guided by common reason rather than by traditional emotional beliefs. I am aware of the fact that both Muslim and Christian teachings have a monopoly on mystics and religious superstition, but not on mathematics. The science of geometry evolving the 12 signs of the zodiac, the universal law, Islam. And that's when we go into more of a subscribe to astrology. And I will pick up this at another time. At another time, I will pick this up. Greatness. I started recording, then when I started recording, I watched myself wasn't recording, so I wasn't recording about 7 hours of stuff that I was putting up there. So I had to redo it and put it in the shorter form. So this is the shorter form with a lot more things I spoke about, but this is the introduction of the Clock of Destiny. Peace be upon all Moors and Muslims.